What's up, everybody? Dr. Josh here, clinical psychologist, natural bodybuilder, and promoter of the OCB Mind Muscle Classic. We just wrapped up our first inaugural show of the year, and I'm excited to say that 23 competitors graced that stage, but we are not here today to talk about that. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what I like to do whenever I am traveling and how I modify my training and nutrition. So if you're interested in that or anything bodybuilding and psychology related, hit subscribe and let's get to the episode. So the number one thing that I like to do is to plan my macro cycle accordingly. I knew that I was coming to Denver last November, and whenever that got on my calendar, I made sure to plan a deload for this week. So whenever you start to travel, whenever you're planning vacations or things around training, you want to zoom out and plan mesocycles that fit in. If I'm remembering right, from the time that I knew that I was coming to this conference, there was about 19 weeks, maybe more, maybe a little bit less, but there wasn't enough time to have in a perfectly set 5-week mesocycles that added up perfectly. So one of my mesocycles was going to have to be 4 weeks long. And if I could work in a mesocycle where I drop my volume to maintenance, which is what I did for this sort of mesocycle, that sort of helped me get to this vacation not stressed out and not focused on training while I was at the conference so that I can enjoy myself. So that's the number one thing. Zoom out and plan your macrocycle accordingly. The number two thing that I like to do, especially while traveling on vacation, is to, like I said before, plan a deload for the week that I'm on vacation. However, if I am going to be training, I know that any hotel gym that I'm going to be at isn't going to have the exact equipment that I have at my house or at any of your standard gyms. So I do these things. I match compound for compound and isolation for isolation. They might not have the dumbbells or the machinery that I have, but I can match the movement patterns. Again, this is what I like to do, and you could do something differently. But I think if you match the movement to a similar movement, that is going to get you a similar stimulation as if you were at home training in your regular setting. The number two thing that I like to do is match the angle and match the rep range. So at home, I was doing a flat dumbbell bench press. Here, they don't have enough dumbbells for that. So they do have a machine chest press. Now, that is a compound movement, much like the dumbbell bench press, and I can load it up and get a similar stimulation and use a similar rep range. So number two, match the angle and make sure to match the rep range. Number three, if you can't match the rep range because there's not enough load, I would say match the reps in reserve. So if you are in the 5 to 10 rep range and there's just not enough load at the gym you're at, or if you're doing body weight movements, I would say moving up a rep range or two is going to be beneficial in terms of getting a similar stimulation. Fortunately, like I said, I'm on a deload this week, so I'm well away from failure, and that part doesn't really matter. But if you're training on the road and you're at that portion in your mesocycle where you need to be 1 to 2 reps in reserve, shifting from the 5 to 10 rep range into the 10 to 15 rep range, or even the 15 to 20 rep range, just so you get a similar stimulus, I think that can be beneficial. And bare minimum, you're going to maintain the gains that you have already gotten. So those are just a few things that I like to do to remain flexible in my training so that I can still get my training in while traveling. Compound for compound, isolation for isolation, match the angle, match the reps. If you can't match the reps in reserve. And by doing this, by having this plan, it makes traveling a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. Now, moving on from training, you have to be able to modify your nutrition. So here are a few things that I like to do while traveling to make sure that I am in the ballpark of my nutrition goals. So in no particular order, one of the things that I like to emphasize is eating a lot of fruits and eating a lot of fruits early in the day. So why do I do this? Fruits aren't very calorie dense. They are nutrient dense. They also have lots of fiber in them. So I am able to stay full. And when I pair these with something high protein, whether that's a couple protein bars, or if I can sneak in some chicken in there, it makes for a cheap and nutritious meal that I can have multiple times while I'm vacationing. The number two thing that I like to do, and I'd already mentioned this in number one, is to stay protein centric. I like to make sure that I front load a lot of my protein with some fruit because I never know what I'm going to be doing for dinner while I am, well, technically at a conference. Let's say I meet a new colleague or something like that and we go to dinner. I don't know where we're going to go, and I also don't want to maybe not expose them to like my dietary needs and or standards. I want to be able to enjoy myself. So if I go to a place that doesn't necessarily have a wide variety of protein options, let's say it's a pizza place, if I front load my diet with protein and then also focus on fruits, that is going to be number one, high in protein. So I can worry about that less towards the end of the day. And then number two, it should probably also be lower in fat, which takes me to my next point. So I like to save the fats for the end of the day. Why do I like to do this? Well, I like to spend time with people. And whenever you spend time with people, a lot of that time is spent eating. And whenever you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different people with differences of opinions on what they want to eat, you can end up anywhere. So by having a majority of your early meals very low in fat, high in protein, high in fiber, that leaves you with a lot of room at the end of the day and a lot of flexibility, which psychologically and physiologically is a good thing. So the last two things that I like to focus on as far as nutrition goes is calories over macros and portion control over calories. So let's start with portion control. Again, this goes back to the evening meals. You're not always going to be able to weigh and or count things. So I think relying on a strict sort of portion control. I like the hand model where you can look for pieces of meat that are the size of your palm, a couple fistfuls of veggies, and then carbohydrates the size of 1 to 2 palms of your hand is very useful strategy. Now, from portion control to just overall calories, I do still track and count some of my calories. Like I can log my bars, I can log my fruits pretty easily, and I tend to log everything, but I know that's only a ballpark. So when you need to have a portion control strategy, highly recommend checking out the hand model of portion control episode that we have on the channel. And whenever you can, if you want to, you can also track calories, but just understand that you're only going to get in the ballpark. So the last tip I have for you all is a mental tip, and that is knowing the things that are in and out of your control and only focusing on the things that are in your control. By focusing on the things that are in your control, you will feel empowered and encouraged by what you are doing, and you will spend less time on the things that are out of your control. The things that are out of your control, opening up around them, making room for them, and accepting the fact that there's going to be some variability and some randomness. You're not going to know what sauces they put on your food. You can request to not have those sauces, but let's say you go to a pizza shop or something, you're not going to know the type of marinara or how much cheese they have on there. And by opening up and controlling the variables that are in your control earlier in the day, like having lots of fruit, high in protein, low in fats, you can then be more accepting of when things become out of your control. So those are my tips on training and nutrition while you are traveling. And folks, if that was helpful, hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next episode for another psychological skill or something bodybuilding and psychology related. See you there.